Good
Well,
afternoon.
welcome and good afternoon, everyone. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum Assalam.
Well, since the time is already on for the webinar, I would request the Honorable Chairman to please welcome all the panelists in the first place.
Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, Salatu Salam ala Rasulullah, Amabad. Dear panelists, I welcome you all today in this session on innovation and development in academia, its perspective of Oman. Today we have with us Dr. Wafa Rashid Salim Al Aliani, Director, Students Affairs, Department of Faculty, College of Business, University of Oman. We have Dr. Thodam Parba, we have Dr. Muhammad Salim, we have Dr. Shad Alam Khan, all the people from the College of Business, University of Bahrain. I welcome you all, the delegates, and I welcome all the attendees of this program. This program is going to be a meaningful program for us. I welcome you all, and with these few words, I request you to start the discussion for today.
Thank you so much, sir.
Well, on behalf of Honorable Vice Chancellor, also I welcome all of you. And we will go on with the discussion, but let me really praise the efforts done by Oman. It is amazing to note that the number of victims because of COVID-19 in Oman is very minimal. I was just observing the data, it is just 3,112 right now. And even the more amazing factor, which I really couldn't visualize, because if we compare it with Greece, which has an ailment of around 2,600 only, there the death rate is much higher, 148. While in case of Oman, it is just 15. It is commendable that how could you contain such a deadly virus in the first place, and how could you manage it? In terms of recovery and restricting the death rates. Can we start with this?
I think I had a personal experience because I was on a travel mood during the time when this all started. A very interesting point. When I went to the airport, I was traveling to India, and I found that there was a strict checking at the airport itself.
Okay.
The management at the airport, till that point of time, WHO did not announce that it is going to be a pandemic. And there was no emergency case as yet. I'm talking about 3rd of March, I believe. The moment I entered into the airport, I realized that something very serious is going on, and there were scanners everywhere, and they were taking the temperatures without actually disturbing the people, disturbing the passers-by, and they were motivating people who were having masks. So we boarded the plane, and I had a brief visit to India, and then when I was returning on 7th, we got a self-declaration form given in the plane itself. None of these things was done when I arrived in India. No scanning was done, nothing was done. But here we found that there were people at the immigration checkpost, there were people at the gate itself who were screening us out. So that time itself, we realized that Oman government is serious about this. The second thing they did was Oman has a infrastructural benefit, and that advantage is that every city has got a gate. And at times they stop you at the gate and they have the testing facility there itself. For example, I remember the first case of Buremi. The person was traveling from Dubai and he was trying to enter into Buremi. He was tested at the gate and he was not allowed access to the city. He was tested at the gate and he was quarantined there itself. So that's the way it was, they were able to contain this at the first go. Number two, Oman did a very good job in terms of evacuation. They evacuated before calling for any sort of shutdown in the country. They called all the people all across the globe who were willing to come back to the country so that nobody is stranded. So they called all the people, and then they did not announce lockdown. Rather, they came up with the guidelines to the people. And the guidelines were that all the public places were closed, but all the essential items, including the factories and the companies who were supplying those essential items, are still on. So by that measure, they were able to do it. If you still come to Oman, you will find that most of the highways are still open. Yesterday, I found that even the checkposts are open and the traffic is allowed moving outside. So there is at the public level. And I believe our director of student affairs will second with me that the way awareness program was taken for the first week, instead of calling for a shutdown, we were asked to undertake awareness program for the students. For the entire week, the students and everybody was groomed, and then only we move forward. And then the formally on 15th of March, the university was closed. And still we continue to teach online, and 23rd April onwards, we declared the vacations. So this was something which was done at the national level, and it was a commendable job.
So what was usually the business response of the business community to the initial initiatives of Oman government?
Proactive actions were taken, and the business community are also very disciplined. There are only sections where we get our foodstuffs are only opening, others are following strictly. Here there is no question for not following any kind of say notices issued by the people here out are disciplined along with the business community.
I would like to add something here. As all around the world, you know, that some businesses have been positively affected, some businesses have lost. So same thing happened in Oman also. But as Dr. Prabha and Dr. Shad said, the compliance of the business with the directives of the government is very, very strict. And everyone wholeheartedly implemented all the decisions. And of course, you know, like some of the businesses have flourished. A few days back, I went to the hypermarket. The first thing I saw was a pile of face masks and hand sanitizers and all that. So of course, on one hand, some businesses have prospered, and on the other hand, some of the businesses have lost as well. Like the event management companies, they have not been able to conduct any of the events for the last so many weeks. So this is there. But the unique thing about Oman, which we all have observed, is the climate of trust in the citizens, in the locals, and the government, and the compassion of the government, and the way the directives are taken. That is you know, amazing.
Commendable.
Yeah, this is something amazing. And the Supreme Committee, which has this scenario, whatever decision they take, this is implemented in true letter and spirit. And they are quite flexible also. Their monitoring is also very, very high. On weekly basis, they conduct the press conference, and they tell about the numbers, how many people are cured, and they keep on making decisions accordingly. I mean, a few days back, some of the businesses were allowed to open, which were not open before. So this is how they keep on monitoring, and they keep on taking the right decisions at the right time. Yes, Dr. Shah.
I feel that there were two more things which I must add here. It was a gloomy phase for Oman because Oman lost its long reigning monarch on 10th of January. So it was already when Oman lost its Sultan, Oman declared a 40 days mourning period. So already the businesses and other things, most of them were shut down. So there was an economic slowdown because of that thing. But when the decision of shutting down the businesses took place, it was a very brave decision on the part of the government, because you have to look into the economic cost that is going to come up. But at the same time, Oman government, they tried to manage, because they really did not shut down the factories, rather than they came up with the guidelines, and they tried to implement those guidelines. For example, Professor Salim was talking about visiting hypermarkets. If you visit, hypermarkets were not shut down because we have a great dependency on hypermarkets. But if you go to the hypermarkets, there were guidelines, and the people were screened. It became a point of screening. For example, Lulu hypermarket, which is available in most of the Gulf countries, you will find that they have the thermal scanner at the gate itself. So they scan the people while entering inside. So it became two things. Number one, you are able to scan the people, and the people with the suspicious cases, they are able to screen out. Number two, it becomes a point of safety also. If you move inside, there is a thorough discipline, as Professor Salim was talking about. Number two, no law can be implemented if the law takers do not support. And in this case, I must commend the residents and citizens of Oman. They really supported the government well. No lockdown has been announced, but still you'll find that the traffic outside, the people moving outside has been reduced. Number three, the way our academic world has been affected, it was also worth mentioning the way our students and the teaching staff has taken up the role. And I must say that we have accepted those practices which were never common amongst us. For example, even I have seen those of the senior faculty members who are very adamant to accept the new technology. They are the most active technology users. I hope the same case must be with Aligarh Muslim University also. So we had the class of people who were not accepting virtual learning environments in the past, but today, if you see, they are hyperactive on the online and digital platforms. So that was something commendable from the Oman government's point of view. And it is also worth mentioning that now the recovery rates are improving as compared to the affected rates. So day before yesterday, the recovery rate surpassed as compared to the new active cases. So it means somewhere we are able to flatten the curve. So that is a commendable job. And the third thing which Oman government has done is they have come up with the map view option. If you check on online, you will be able to see that which are the areas where the affected cases are available. So by that way, you can track whether there is any affected case in your area or not. So there's a map view option along with the death rates, along with the sick rates, along with the recovered rates. So it is commendable. I must tell you the rate of Buremi. So far, only 2 people are sick, and we have achieved a 66% recovery rate in case of Buremi.
So as I see it, I mean, it is all the way a proactive approach of the government and a positive support from the side of citizens, which actually made this miracle happen. So I really, I mean, I must appreciate the approach of the Omani government, because in most of the countries, there is almost a reactionary approach. A knee-jerk reaction had been there that certain announcement has been made, whether it was lockdown or, because we personally had a very bad experience into this. And but I think anyway, since our decisions were a little delayed and therefore we had to do it, but timely proactive action seems to be the logic behind all this achievement. And moreover, a support from the teaching fraternity is also, as you say, is commendable. But how could you manage somehow? I mean, is there enough support coming from the student side? How do you see this transition from offline education to online education suddenly all the way? I mean, we had rich experience, I'll say. But what is your observation into this?
Shall I start, sir? My observation, experience?
Sure,
yes. Hi, Dr. Prabha, once again here. So, sir, at the outset, I would like to thank the Vice Chancellor of Aligarh Muslim University, Professor Tariq Mashoor, and my beloved Professor Imran Salim for giving us opportunity and platform for us to meet together and that exchange of share our experiences.
Thank you.
Yes, in this recent happening. I would also like to admit, sir, at the outset that, my experience will be very small and my experience will be very limited to the experience of an instructor. I am not involved into administration, and I am not in the body where, my voice are being heard. So thank you once again, the Aligarh Muslim University, for giving this platform, and our voice will be heard today. Let me start related to the shifting from the traditional learning to the, our e-learning. I would like to talk about onboarding. Onboarding means which platform will be used, how it should be used. So the challenge I personally face, I'm sure the knowledge we have to learn Should we teach the same thing what American university is teaching? Will it be, suitable for our students also? In technical term, we call it onboarding. Say, let me highlight you one example of a teacher teaching here accounting. So he kept calling me and telling me, Madam, it is very difficult for me to demonstrate my statement of account. So immediately I react and say, that means you have onboarding problem. So it was not so difficult in the early stage, say 1.5 weeks for the teachers to understand how it should be used and how it could be delivered in a very effective way. Because once I, being an instructor and a professor, know how to use it, then I can also make my students, competent and easy. Because then another one here, the specific problem I have here, my experience will be a combination of benefit and the challenges. What I really feel at this moment is that we have to strong need of our parents, parents partnership on online teaching. Because there is the belief and assumption of the parents that when the students come to the higher education, they are motivated enough and they are sincere enough, and all the responsibilities lie among the professors and the university. But at this moment, I personally feel that it is the responsibility of all the family members to help each other in learning process at this moment, to help each other out, to each other in the family. Then another issue, what I personally feel here, maybe little new approach is there. Teachers now can group faster learning. Say, I cannot call it intelligent or non-intelligent. Now there is a problem of teaching and addressing through online to all the teacher, all the students from one platform in a one mode, in a one style. Because there are a group of students who are quick learner, there are little slow learner. So it is a challenge for us. What I personally found while teaching, while delivering my assigned courses, this can be taken as one of the benefit also. Randomly, we as instructors and the professor can say randomly say group these two groups, and we have to come up with a module how to deliver those two groups so that both the groups are say receiving the knowledge I transfer. That is another one which I would like to highlight is that. And here there is another very specific problem.
Can I add something here?
Yes.
There are two things which I want to mention here. The first thing is that in terms of acceptance of technology, we did not face much problem because we were already our students were using some of the platforms available in the university. For example, for viewing their marks, for viewing their attendance, we already had a student information system. We call it SIS. So
Okay.
to SIS. So we were not supposed to take, unlike the traditional way of taking attendance, we take attendance online. So the students get a notification. The same thing is that we punch their marks or SIS. So there was already a number two, university was in process of implementing Moodle. We were in the process. So we were almost halfway done. The students were trained, the staff were trained, but we didn't started doing it practically. So somewhere student had the brief idea that in case of any grave need, this can become a platform. But we faced a problem in terms of online delivery of classes. The students were not willing to sit in the sessions like we are sitting right now.
So I'm coming to that. I'm
Yes.
coming to that. Here, there is a need of parents' partnership. There is a need that parents, should not only take the become. We have the assumption that parents, they tend to be protective of their children, but they always assume that this is the responsibility of the university and the teachers and the professors, to assure their learning. That is what I have highlighted, which is the excellence here. If I compare my experience with my Indian university teaching, all right, and if I highlight the experiences of the Indian teachers here, who's, like Sir Muhammad Salim, whose, students are going to school here and colleges here, we have, we take, say, partnership, and we try to ensure that my, children are learning or not. That is first, I would like to. And another one, which I have little different viewpoint with Dr. Saad here is that, okay, all the Oman institutions and organizations, including private ours, okay, we have all the new technology, all right, basic technology which makes us ease and, which makes us comfortable to deliver our course. But if we go into depth, and if I give a rethought, that our students even are afraid of using computer, they are even hesitating to open their Gmail. There is a lack of culture. There is a lack of culture of you. That's what I mentioned. But how I am sure what I have observed with my, first-hand observation in my universities, that our director will highlight it. University management, including students affairs department, has done their best. Therefore, now after the end of the second week of our delivery, the students started, showing interest. All right, started showing interest, but in the 1.5 week, we had a huge, difficulties.
Obviously,
And
that's very true.
I would like to
and
add one
another
point
one,
here.
which is
Just to
very difficult in
facilitate
terms
Dr.
of.
Prabha.
Hmm.
Just to add to Dr. Prabha, Professor Nawab will be able to add with us. The thing is, please understand, in University of Burami, more than 90% of the students are females. We hardly have 5 to 7 students who are males. So our females, Professor Nawab, who has experience of teaching in Saudi Arabia, he must be knowing that our students, especially females of Gulf countries, they have a nature, we are very shy of coming in the front, especially in the platforms like this. So interactive sessions are missing. So this is something which Dr. Prabha is talking about. That is the shy nature of the students. And I feel that our director, Professor Wafa, will be able to add, because she was in the decision making. She has been in the top management university, and most of the things which have been implemented.
I just would like to pose a small question, that how did the administration, the university administration, supported the teaching community into this initiative? I mean, if it comes from Madam Wafa, please.
Yes.
Good afternoon. My voice is clear? Good afternoon. Here is Ms. Wafa Al-Aliani. I'm the Director of Students Affairs. Let me share my experience in this period of COVID-19, COVID-19. From the first date of the government announced on 15th of March to close all the schools, university, educational institutions. So as a risk management committees, top management in the university, we meet. So the first management and administration decide which kind of resources and application we wanted to apply in this period. We don't know for first they announced for 1 month. So in this period, how we can handle the situation. So we try to find a very easy application, and for both, for faculty and for students. So we try also to overcome the challenges and problems maybe we'll face during this period. So there is different options. We have it on the table, but we decided to use GoToMeeting program application because we try to overcome the cultural barriers, language barriers maybe we will face. Even students can hide their photo, and also we can interact with the students with their voices, and also we can record the sessions of the lectures. So we decided to go with a GoToMeeting application to be easier for both for staff, for faculties, and for students. And I think we have a good choice because the students become familiar with it. We at the beginning they face a problem. They said how we can interact virtually because we don't have this culture and experience before. We try to minimize their worries. We create WhatsApp groups firstly. We invite all the students in each session by faculty, and we separate as our culture. We separated female group and male group, and the teacher can contact 24 hours, 7 days. They can participate. The students can participate in WhatsApp group, but the lectures and live session going through GoToMeeting. This is the first decision we had it to choose which application we have to choose. Also, we try to make videos to explain how the how the application is run, how the students can register in the GoToMeeting, how we make separate videos, one for faculty as a teacher, how they can make the live session, how they can register, and absolutely immediately we pay the fees for the GoToMeeting, and make one video for the faculties, how they make the live session and how they record the session and how they send it to the students, and we make another video for the students how they can use the GoToMeeting application during the e-learning. We use GoToMeeting, WhatsApp. Also, the teachers can upload their session and model. So some teachers, they prefer to do videos and upload it in the model so the students can see the video anytime. So we open a floor to the teacher which kind of application they can use it. Some of them they prefer Zoom, some of them they prefer GoToMeeting, some of them they interact with the students through WhatsApp. So, but the official application we use it is GoToMeeting. Absolutely, after we decided to go to e-learning method, to e-learning teaching, we faced a problem from the students because some students face psychological problem. They said they so worried. So we try to minimize their worries, to be as students affairs staff to contact them. Most of the time, any worries they have it, we open our phones, our messages. Anytime they can contact us because we have one unit. We call it IDRAK for counseling and psychological students. So we try to minimize the worries of the students. Also, one of the things we face it as a challenge, some of the students face financial challenges. Means they cannot, they don't have laptops or tabs to use the e-learning to be in the e-learning process. And also they don't have money to buy the internet package. So as a top management and administration, we try to minimize this challenge. And we identify the challenges, financial challenges students, And we identified more than 200 students, and we identified which students doesn't have laptop or tabs, whatever, and which students they cannot access to the internet because they don't have internet package. So the top management decided to pay for we bought more than 200 tabs for the students, and we over 10 GB internet package for the students. And also some of the students concerned about the hostel. We have a hostel inside accommodation hostel in the university within a campus, and also we decided to give a free we give them a free accommodation, so the students they don't have to pay in this period of time. Also, we try to help academic units during this period. So we to help both academics units and the students. So we try to find a link and what is the challenges faced by faculty during this situation. So we decided to have a weekly report. Each faculty has to identify which challenges he faced each week. How many students participate? Do you think all the students participated? Most of the students, and also we activate the academic advisor. So the academic advisor, who, if one faculty can say these students are not able for 1 week, so the academic advisor can contact with the students and see what is the problem faced, and maybe we can solve it. We can offer internet data for them, or also we can give them a tab or laptop if it is not available for them. This is most of the things we did it during the Corona COVID-19 period.
That sounds commendable. And yes, please, yes, Salim Saab.
Yeah, I would like to share the faculty members' perspective on this. Shifting from the offline to the online mode, and at least I can share my experience with you. So I strongly believe that being a teacher, you have to be a lifelong learner. This is number one.
Very true.
So, I mean, most of us, we were not aware of these online tools, to be very frank. But what I should commend is the level of acceptance and the quickness in which all of us have adapted to this new mode. And all the departments like the Student Affairs Department has done a commendable job. And all of us in our own capacities, we have learned how to use these tools effectively. And it takes time, but what amazes me is that we were very quick to do these things. I mean, Ms. Wafa was talking about the software. So when I used this for the first time, I tried to explore a few of the options. So I was surprised to know that it's so in-depth. You can generate the attendance sheet from that. You can check how many students were logged on from which time to which time. You can check that. You can even check the internet connectivity rate, whether the voice was heard clearly or the video was clear or not. The report can be generated from the same software. So what I want to say that at least my perception of the online learning has changed. And it is not the same as used to be before. I mean, like a few years back, a few months back, people might be thinking that this online learning might not be as good as the physical campus-based learning. But there are so many plus points also, which we are now experiencing by adopting this online mode, which we didn't know about that before. So this is a very, I would say, it's a very refreshing learning mode, which we were not exposed to before. Even this webinar is a good example. We keep talking about Global Village, So thank you so much for providing this experience where the distance doesn't matter.
Pleasure.
And
Yes.
we are geographically dispersed, but still we can communicate as if we are sitting in the same room. So this is something which is amazing. I mean, COVID-19 has brought us together actually, close.
So
That's very true.
can I add one very interesting experience of mine?
Sure, please.
Yes, regarding the yes, one big challenge we have in e-learning is constant feedback from the student. Constant feedback. So my students are afraid of feedback. How will I take the feedback? I will give a small assignment and take the feedback of what I have taught. So one fine day, it is a real incidents. One fine day, I met him by chance, and he said, Dr. Prabha, have you given 10 assignments to one of your course? I just replied, Doctor, is it possible to give 10 assignments for a course? But I kept thinking, because our students never tell untruth. They always say when they have some problem. So I kept thinking, what have I done? Why some students are having this problem? Then I have realized that the feedback I try to take at the end of the session or in the beginning of the session, and which I have sent to do it through some link, answer these questions and prepare this and come, that was troubling their mind. So constant feedback, but without feedback. But here, I would like to express my opinion that, you know, professor or the teacher knows best how and how much my student needs to learn. Freedom should be given to the teacher. And right, that
Well,
is a small, or if there is any personal issue, any other issue, then we can put forward in our common meeting, which students are there, coordinator of subject is there, and administration representatives are there. Otherwise, this is also one of the big challenges I have.
Thank you, Prabha. If you allow me, I'm feeling tempted to share one experience of mine that as I could observe that you had all your administration, all officers like Wafa and others, I presume, who have supported you like
It is a truth. It is a truth.
Yeah. So at Aligarh University, except the moral support coming from the Vice Chancellor and myself and Chairman have decided that we should go online. And on Friday, Chairman Sahab, if you remember, we had a meeting for the first time in our life on Zoom. We had a staff meeting and we decided to let us go ahead with and engage the classes from Monday online. And it just, I mean, most of us, including myself, we are very skeptical that whether we would be able to really do it. Are we not taking up a challenge that's too big? But then we decided, and to our utter surprise, Monday we had all the classes. Our younger generation had been able to perform much better, I'm sure, than ourselves. So that's a very, I mean, if there is a support coming from the seniors, I'm sure that younger generation is capable enough to build up and forge ahead. So that is one thing I thought I should also share. But
I would also like to, after you, sir, I'm in the queue.
Oh, sure, please. Sure, please, sir.
No, please, you carry on. You please.
No, it's okay. You go ahead.
Actually,
because we are short of time. Let's be quick.
Dr. Shad asked me to just share my views about what I observed there in Saudi Arabia during my stay over there. You see, Dr. Shad, when I went there, for 1 week, I was not able to use the computer. So I called the college manager, Mudir Kulya. I asked, I'm not having UPS, so how will I use the computer? So he said, no UPS here in Saudi Arabia. So then I started using it. And then, you know, other important thing that I observed there, that was regarding the keyboard. Actually, we Indians use only few keys which are used for our purposes. Otherwise, we do not know how many keys are there, what key is meant for what purposes. So I checked there in Saudi Arabia, though they were not very good in language, but every time they were using all keys of the laptop, or the keyboard. So I asked the dean, Dr. Nasir, people are using all the keys that they are not highly educated. So he said, Dr. Nawab, they are born with the technology, and you see in India, what is the population? So then I realized, in fact, because what I felt there in my stay, and what I feel regarding the theme also, that for the most of the past 2005 years, innovation was understood with a modifier, political innovation, social innovation, technological innovation, etc. The concept of innovation in general is more than any other in the 21st century. The dominant ideology behind education policy and practice change. Schools, departments, colleges, universities, governing agencies want innovative courses and programs, innovators on their faculty within the student population, and innovativeness in their structure and operations. So you see, over a period of time, there have been tremendous change. And for a common man, today morning we were discussing with Professor Salim that what is the, he was suggesting that let us purchase one active board for the department. So I told him that normally when it comes to whiteboard, people think that whiteboard is the smart board. People are not, still many countries, people not are aware that whether there is a smart board or active board in little sense. These are the kind of things that we come to know only when we go outside. We come out of our clad actually. So these things are there. And with the passage of time, we are learning. And this kind of event that we are organizing here, these are in fact going to add more, to our knowledges, and we are sharing experiences, and we are trying to implement also. These are the points which I wanted to share from my side. Rest of you people are there, please carry on.
Yes.
Add to one experience that I had. When we talk about implementing such thing, like Professor Nawab was talking about, we have to talk about the ecosystem. Without ecosystem, we cannot sustain. So ecosystem include everything, like our director was talking, that if people do not have the tablets and laptop, how they are going to access, and not only tablets and laptop, they also need the data packages. I must mention here my experience with our IT department. At one point of time, when we are using a lot of technology and we are using university platforms, we often find lags when we are using the same platforms from our home Wi-Fi systems. And we had a very clear instruction from our IT head. He said that I am available 24/7. Whenever you have any problem, just send me a message. And to my surprise, as we say in English, action speaks louder than words. At one point of time, I was having a problem with the login, and I sent him a message, and within 5 minutes, that problem was resolved. It was not resolved for the students also. So
yes. Our IT head
and the contentment is shown.
Mohammed Saad speaks
cannot do anything.
less but action more. Mohammed Saad, our IT head. At this time.
Well, since we are running short of time, Shad, I think these are the areas where we are almost on the same footing. But what I would really like to learn from you people, that what is your experience and what is your plan for holding the examinations and evaluation of the students, which is a cause of concern for us in India, especially in AMU. We are very concerned and we want to be more effective. We want to learn from others' experiences. So I would welcome that if you can share your experiences and your immediate future plans. That how do you intend to go about taking evaluation of the students, please?
Our Sir Salim is the member of our moderation committee. He will be able to give us a clear scenario. But I would like to share that is also another challenge. However, all the faculty members are given a level of freedom for evaluating system. That is a freedom given to us. But here, what is coming in my mind time and again is that whether we have, developed our syllabus and for this visual classroom, and whether we have developed our module for our, visual delivery. But here, what I am being instructed by our moderation department is that we have got some degree of freedom, like the government universities are like Aligarh Muslim University. Now, Sir Salim can tell us in-depth scenario what we are following.
Yeah. Okay. So what we have done at the University of Bureni, the first step was taken by the College of Business to reduce the percentage of final exams. I mean, around 10% weightage was reduced. It was decided. For example, if the exams were 40%, so now we have to take the exam of 30%. 10% has to be reduced. Now that 10% can be added to the classwork. This is number one. Then from the quality department, we have received some guidelines that how we have to map the course learning outcomes with those assignments which we are giving to the students now. For example, the final exam had certain course outcomes which needed to be assessed from the final exam only. But now since the final exam is not there. So whatever assessment we are preparing, it may be a project, it may be an assignment, we have to align those course learning outcomes with the objectives of that assignment. So these two important things have been decided. Still, since the final exam is still, we have around 1 month. So to decide it further and to fine tune this. But just these two basic decisions were taken just to give a framework to the faculty members how to do that.
I will add on that.
Yeah.
Because I was in the meeting being a member of academic board, and we discussed on two more aspects. The first thing that university management did was that we preponed our vacations, the vacations which were expected to happen in the month of August and September. We preponed it in the month of May so that we have a buffer. So now when the university reopens, this examination, the final examination which we are talking about, it was supposed to happen first week of May. Now it will happen possibly in the last week of June. Now, considering the regulations and the guidelines of the government, we are keeping in mind, at the back of our mind, we are preparing ourselves for the alternative assessment also. So though we have reduced the proportion of the final examination, but at the back of our mind, we are thinking about the alternative assessment for which the course outcome mapping has to be done. There is a clear instruction from the quality assurance department of the university that in any case, the course outcome of the particular subject has to be achieved. So we are going to map the course outcomes, but at the same time, we are thinking about the alternative assessment. Now this alternative assessment,
Dr. Sir Imran Salim is desired to know the mode of taking evaluation. Your open book
on that. Yes. Now for that purpose, what we are going to do is we are exploring that how assignments and the written projects can be a medium of taking. So for this purpose, we are following Bloom's taxonomy, so that the type of assignment that we assign to the student, it is in such a way that we are able to assess the creativity and their originality, so that we can reduce the plagiarism. Number two, we have the licensed version of Turnitin, and all the submissions we are going to take through Turnitin. So through that way, we are able to reduce the plagiarism level also. But yes, as per the university regulation, considering the level of students, we have considered that we'll be accepting the plagiarism up to 35%, because we have to be flexible at that point of time. So that
25 to 35.
25 to 35. So
this,
that is
Shad, this plagiarism you're talking about is about the graduation projects or something else?
No.
This is about the final assessment.
Final exam evaluation.
So we are replacing, we are in the process of replacing the final assessment with the assignments and projects.
Okay.
So but let's hope if everything goes well and we are able to recover, we'll be able to take as per the schedule. But in case anything goes wrong, then we are thinking to go for alternative assessment methods. And we had a thorough discussion because the practice of open book examination. So we thought that
yes, I want you to talk about
the system with the assignments. Yeah. Plus, we are also open with using the online mode like Moodle. We can conduct online quizzes, but we are facing the problem with those students who are living in the remote part of the country. So conducting online examination is a challenge because many students, they are not having access to internet.
But in Saudi Arabia, I think they have been successful through Blackboard. They have conducted their exams and they are doing very well. They have completed their exams also in Saudi Arabia. in most of the universities.
We are yet to explore on that side, sir. So we have not explored the option of Blackboard yet.
We haven't trained our students actually how to
Yes.
enroll in the Moodle. We were
Okay.
little late.
We have Moodle, we have SIS, and we have GoToMeeting. We have not explored on Blackboard yet.
Okay.
Actually, I mean, all these tools are more or less similar, in fact. It's just
Yes.
about approaching the students and the students approaching the module. So it is
Yes.
either way. So my another question which is boggling my mind is that how the administration of the university could manage the psychological support to the students as well as the teachers there. If Wafa want to make some observation, I mean,
Yes.
what was the psychological support system that you evolved? Because I'm really impressed with your system. I'm thankful that you had come here to share this. And would you like to throw some more light?
Yes. Here we have IDRAC unit who are concerned about counseling and solve the students' problem, even psychological, family problems, whatever. So we try to be in contact with the students, even the teachers, they have live session for the students to teach them. But we are in students affairs, we have a session to discuss the challenges faced for students. We have group sessions through GoToMeeting, and also we have individual session for counseling sessions. So we try to hear more than talk with our students. So we try to find what's a problem they have it, how we can solve this problems. We try to minimize the worries. Some students, they came they worries about their grades. So they said, if we cannot submit the assignments or exam at the same time, so we try to talk with the academic units through the deans, through the committee chairs, to postpone it for the identified students who face the psychological problems, they have family problems, they have problems with the technicals. So we try our best to hear from the students, because as you know, our customers first, our students should be the first our concerns. So also some of the concerns, the students who, the fourth year students who will be graduate. So in the future plan for our summer, inshallah, we will conduct summer, and our summer will be fully e-learning, so online teaching. So the students feel comfortable because they can graduate within this summer semester or within the spring semester. So the students interact because they think they felt we are working for them. We don't want to run a system, but we want our students to get a benefit from our decision to continue e-learning. So University of Quraimi is the first university in Oman who introduced the e-learning. So most of the university, even our big university here is SQ, Sultan Qaboos University, they decide to continue the e-learning after 1 month. But after we immediately take the decision to continue our studies. Most of the university, they contact us to express our experience. What's the challenges we face? How we overcome these challenges? So I think we create from the challenge, we create a good job as a University of Quraimi. So we create innovation from the challenge. And always I said, this kind of risk we face it is show our guidelines for future. We don't have this infrastructure for e-learning before, but we do our best to build this infrastructure within 1 month. So inshallah, for next semester as the summer, we will have full online teaching, and maybe in fall, if this crisis is continue, so we will have same system. Also, we can build a culture of our students. They can attend 60% physical classes and 40% we can have online session, because we are in Quraimi, a little bit far from another region in Oman, because we are in a border with the UAE. So if students in some circumstances they cannot come, sometimes we have rainfall and this kind of things. So the students cannot come to the university. So why we not get this a chance of COVID-19 to be built for a future for the students to have this live session through online?
One challenge I would like to pose, because you are taking solutions from us. Now it's our turn to take solutions from you, because
Sure.
we were discussing at the academic board in the university, we decided that, okay, fine, we will be going for e-learning platform for the student. It was not a problem for the business students in particular, but at the university level, a major concern is how we are going to offer those courses which requires lab. For example, we have a college of engineering, we have college of health sciences. In our college of business also, we have IT. And for that purpose, we require labs. And that is the challenge right now, that how we are going to provide the lab-based session through e-learning. As of now, what university has decided that they are the lab-based subjects in the summer semester. So in the lab-based subjects have been replaced with the theoretical subjects, but somewhere in the future, we will have to offer them the lab-based subjects also. So that's where we are still pondering. If you have any solution, please do let us know.
Since we have also experimenting things, our Honorable Vice Chancellor has just shared it in the Dean's meeting. Let me share it with you, that he has asked the faculties to encourage the virtual labs. There is a provision. There is a provision of having virtual labs where you can make experiments and other things. So that is one thing, which I believe we can try, and let us look forward how successful we could be. And in the process, we have tried to, we are planning to have awareness and the training sessions for the students as well, how to make an effective use of those labs, because it will not be possible for maybe for the faculty. We can do it, and we have started giving training to the faculty members at our HRD center, academic staff college. We have started already giving training to the thing. Even the orientation program for the teachers has been converted online, and the university has passed a resolution to accept the same. So in the same way, different training programs for the teachers are being conducted at the moment. And since we have limited resources, and therefore immediately we cannot commit that we are being able to, or we will be able to do it, but we have plans to train the students and encourage the students and put them onto board, for these type of experimentation. This is one thing. Then simulation we'll try to use into different areas wherever it is possible. Then third thing, which I feel that we are determined that very soon we are going to have IT labs and studio type of facility almost in every faculty we are going to have, so that we can, even in the post-COVID scenario, when the regular classes will start taking place, we will try to gel a combination of the interventions in terms of online as well as offline. We'll try to see that in order to maximize and or I'll say optimize our time utilization with the students. And sometimes, as maybe coming from the older generation, I'll say my experience online had been very, very positive and very effective, in the sense that when I had been meeting my class, every time I had been knowing their names. So it was a different experience, and I got to know my class a little closer. So the point is, things are emerging, but we are sure that in near future, we are confident. We are a man of positive bent of mind. You know, Shad, you know me very well.
Sir, here lies the unique experience we have here. Unique experience. Our students, because of the cultural barriers, our students do not register by name. And one find in the beginning of the class, when we used to take class and send the recorded link to them also after the session. So at the end of the session, one student has texted me. One good student has texted me, Miss, I think by mistake I have clicked in the picked video. Can you please check carefully before sharing the link? And I want to call them, address them by name, but many of them, only 2-3 of them registered on put attendance by name only, by name. So there was a complaint, Miss, why only Mariam? It was this, there are little cultural barriers, but I'm sure in the times to come, we can easily come over.
I think Professor Imran's microphone is off.
Looks like.
We are running out of time. So I would like to, before we close, I would like to thank each of the panel members for being with us. On behalf of the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Tariq Mansoor of Aligarh Muslim University, I thank you all. Had he been having some time, he could have even joined and thank you in person. But anyway, on his behalf and on behalf of the Faculty of Commerce, I thank all of you for being with us. And I hope and wish that we have more of fruitful interventions in near future. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very
It was a
much.
pleasure.